Mr. Goldman from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very happy to hear that my colleague from Arizona is concerned about domestic terrorism. Unfortunately, his colleagues in the majority on the Homeland Security Committee last week rejected an amendment by the Democrats to add domestic terrorism to the oversight plan. So hopefully Mr. Gosar can speak to his colleagues about that. The fentanyl crisis is real, and it's been growing for a long time. It has affected just about every community around the country. But it is disingenuous and counterproductive for the majority to try to mislead the public by making this a partisan issue, as they did last week when they brought a witness in front of the Homeland Security Committee to bash President Biden's response at the border because her sons had tragically died from fentanyl. Unfortunately, for them and for her, the children were killed in July of 2020 during the Trump presidency. So I hope that we can start to move past the partisanship and address this real problem that we have. And I lean on my 10 years of experience as a federal prosecutor, where I worked very closely with all sorts of law enforcement, including both of your agencies, and I thank you very much for all of your work. It is clear that the Mexican cartels and other transnational criminal organizations have expanded their power and criminal activity in recent years and have certainly preyed on the opioid crisis. Director Salisbury, can you talk a little bit about how the Mexican cartels have evolved over the last 10 years or so?
Yes, I can. So as you see, the cartels will look at anything and any mechanism they can to make money, mostly off of narcotics. So we've actually seen this history lesson before when we see methamphetamine. Traditionally, when I first started law enforcement in the late 90s, methamphetamine was predominantly manufactured in the United States. We saw the Mexican cartels basically take over the stronghold of it, bring in precursors from China, India, and they basically took over the manufacturing process and pumped it into the United States at such massive amounts that it basically stopped the domestic supply of methamphetamine. So the cartels now have this cheap option with fentanyl, very profitable, same thing. They're basically reinventing what they did in the past. They're getting in the precursors. They're bringing in the ability to manufacture this and use their routes into the United States to pump this across the border. So the cartels are always looking for new lanes, avenues to exploit, and they see dollar signs with fentanyl. It's cheap to make. The precursors are currently available from China, and as they pump it in, they're going to be licking their lips on how much money they're going to make. It is important to note, as we talk to our foreign partners, right now, it's predominantly a U.S. issue. A lot of our other partners in Europe haven't quite seen the issue, so we do have a chance here to kind of stop the spread of fentanyl from around the world as we deal with the epidemic on our own soil.
Now, you mentioned in your opening statement, I believe, that guns travel south over the border from the United States to Mexico, to the cartels, while the fentanyl travels north. Are we essentially exporting our guns from the United States to Mexico in return for them sending fentanyl?
So what I can tell you in regards to weapons trafficking, it's a major priority for HSI. HSI does recognize that the United States is a source country for weapons, with criminal organizations sending weapons southbound, not only to Mexico, we see it going to the Caribbean, South America, and to Europe. So we certainly see the weapon flows getting into the hands of the criminals. It's a major priority for HSI to stop this illicit southbound flow of weapons to getting in the hands to fuel the violence. Without the weapons, the cartels don't have as much teeth. They can't scare, they can't intimidate, they can't kill. So weapons are a key component of any criminal organization, and certainly weapons from the United States, which is a key priority for HSI and our partners at CBP to stop the illegal southbound flow of weapons.
You had mentioned some of the international partners. I'm curious how you view the cooperation that you've gotten from the Mexican government over the past several years.
So I was previously assigned to Mexico in 2010 to about 2012, 13. And also now, so again, through our international operations office, we do have foreign vetted units. The Mexicans have provided that through the embassy. We have cooperation. It ebbs and flows with higher level political issues that arise. But at our level, working relationship, we do share joint investigative binational investigations with our vetted unit with Mexico.
And then my last question is, can you describe a little bit the additional capacity and authorities that you've received from the Biden administration to attack the cartels and fentanyl crisis over the past couple of years?
So in order to attack the TCOs, we have most of the authorities we already need. HSI is a new agency under the Department of Homeland Security at 20 years old, but we come from customs, legacy customs. Our authorities are old, going back to the creation of the United States of America. So we have authorities. The biggest authority that we're still looking for, and that's ongoing discussions, is right now, of all the cross-border crimes we investigate, Title 21 is gifted to us in a limited agreement through DOJ. So Title 21 is the cross-border narcotics, is the narcotics charges for the United States. So right now, we don't have that standalone authority. There are ongoing conversations both at senior department and within the Congress on getting us Title 21 authority. Outside of that, personnel is always the issue. There's a lot of cross-border crimes. We can get spread thin, but the men and women of HSI are out there every day working with our partners to pursue these cross-border crimes.
Thank you very much. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.